We continue now at the top of Daf Nun Gimel Amud Beis in Meseches Pesachim. This is Pesachim Daf 53b. We're in the middle of a Tosefta here where Rabbi Yossi is criticizing Tudus Ishromi, but the criticism was you're feeding Klal Yisrael kachim b'chutz. Now he wasn't feeding them real kachim. All he was doing, he's roasting a gedi, not for a carbon pesach. It looked like a carbon pesach. So he says that's what you're doing. So he says no, it means the Gemara says it means karov lahachil as Yisrael kachim b'chutz. The criticism was what you are doing is domel kachim. It is close to feeding Yisrael kachim b'chutz. In any case, that was the criticism. But now the Gemara makes a diak. The Gemara says mekulas in. It was only a problem because it was roasted in the same fashion that the carbon pesach is roasted. She'ein mekulas. But if it would have not been in that fashion, then it wouldn't have been a problem. Rashi says, She'enu mekulas lo v'kasha l'Rav da'amar basar greda michlef b'pesach. Rav said that if you have meat, just in general, if you have meat and you say this meat is for Pesach, that's going to be a problem. People will confuse it that you're eating a carbon Pesach outside of the area of Yerushalayim. So that's a question on Rav. This Tosefta over here is a question on Rav. So the Gemara answers, Amri, mekulas lo shna amar lo shna lo amar. Very simple answer. If you do it mekulas, if you roast it in exactly the same fashion that a carbon Pesach is roasted, then it doesn't matter whether you say it's for Pesach, whether you don't say it's for Pesach, it's always going to be a problem. However, she'eno mekulas, if it's not roasted in that fashion, pireshin, if you explain that it's for Pesach, then it's going to be a problem. Lo piresh lo. If he doesn't explain, then it's not a problem. Rashi over here says, Umeshani mekulas avagav de lo amar basar zel Pesach. Even though he doesn't say explicitly that this meat is for Pesach, and again, he means the holiday of Pesach, but even though he doesn't say anything, below maskir all of us Hashem, he doesn't mention anything, also it's going to be a problem because it looks like a carbon Pesach. Aval she'eno mekulas, if it's not roasted in the fashion of a carbon Pesach, Omar, if he says, Harei basar zel Pesach, this is for Pesach, again, he doesn't mean carbon Pesach, but it sounds like that. Also, then it's a problem. Mishum de nira kakore shem. It looks like he is calling this a carbon Pesach, and it looks like he's eating carbon Pesach b'chutz. The Gemara continues. Rav Acha masni lo laha masni suk Rabbi Shimon. Rav Acha, he learned that it wasn't Rabbi Yossi who was criticizing Tudus Ishromi. It was actually Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon was saying what you're doing is similar to eating kachim b'chutz. So maskef lo Rav Sheshes asked on this version, Bishlama leman detani lo Rabbi Yossi nicha. If you're going to say it's like Rabbi Yossi, then it's good. But the one who says it's Rabbi Shimon talking, mi nicha, is it really good? V'atanan, we learned in the Mishnah. Rabbi Shimon poter, Rabbi Shimon says poter, this is talking about by a carbon mincha, we'll see Rashi. Shelo hisnadev kederech hamisnadvim. Because he didn't make this donation, this carbon mincha, in the normal fashion, therefore what he says is nothing. And if Rabbi Shimon says poter in this case, also in our case over here, when it comes to what Tudus Ishromi did with his meat, when he roasted it just like a Korban Pesach, that also should not be problematic, and therefore Rabbi Shimon really should not be criticizing him. Rashi over here says, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Shimon, Tudus Ishromi v'chul. It's Rabbi Shimon who's criticizing the actions of Tudus Ishromi. Now Rabbi Shimon Poter, what's the case over here? Ba'omer harei olai mincha min hasorim. Case is a guy is donating a carbon mincha, but then he says he's going to donate it from barley. The Tanan b'menachos maybe minachitin. Now in Meseches Menachos, it says you bring a carbon mincha when you donate it. It has to be from wheat. It can't be from barley. Tikevin damar harei olai mincha tafas lashon rishon. What he first says when he's bringing a carbon mincha sounds like wheat. Umincha in above min hasorim nidava, because it can't be barley. Hilkach yavi minachitin, so you should bring chitin. However, Rabbi Shimon Poter, Rabbi Shimon disagrees with this and says no, he's completely poter. If he says I'm going to bring a carbon mincha from barley, so we take what he says about barley seriously. He doesn't bring from wheat, but barley, of course, is impossible. Therefore, he becomes totally poter. The Amar Af b'Gemar devar of Adam Nitzvas. Rabbi Shimon says you go by how he finished. V'nidvak v'daitel l'chol ma'shemotzi b'fiv v'lemincha sa'orin niskavein. He had kavana for barley v'savar shadam yachol esnadi v'lhavichein. He thought you can donate a mincha from barley. Well, lefigachein b'dvar of klum. So what he said is nothing. V'hai machel gedim kolas nami. So the same thing we should apply to our case. My karav l'kachim b'chutzika. What criticism is there that this is similar to kachim b'chutz? Halo mechayim lo karav of shem pesach. He never called this animal a carbon pesach while it was alive. V'afilu hayakarav lo shem b'shas tzliya. Even if he would have called it a carbon pesach at the time of roasting, shalo kederach hamakdishinu, that's not the normal way. Vein Hashem chol olav. It should have been nothing. So Rabbi Shimon shouldn't be concerned. Just like Rabbi Shimon is not concerned when a guy says, I'm going to donate a carbon mincha from barley, you shouldn't be concerned if you take an animal that's already being roasted, the meat's already being roasted, and then you say it's going to be a carbon pesach. It's a meaningless statement. So the Gemara says, Amar le Ravina le Ravashi. Ravina said to Ravashi, so Uman demasni lo Rabbi Yossi minicha, do you think it's any better According to Rabbi Yossi, you're saying, oh, Rabbi Shimon doesn't make any sense. Because according to Rabbi Shimon, it's potter by the case of Karb Mincha, so it's not going to be a problem here by the meat, on the roasted meat on Pesach. You think it's any better according to Rabbi Yossi? V'ha'amar Rav, but Rava said, Rabbi Shimon b'shitas Rabbi Yossi, amra da'amar afbig mar devarav adam nitvas. Rabbi Shimon, who says that you go by the end of what the guy said, the concluding words, when he said min ha'sa'orim, that's actually Rabbi Yossi's shita. Rabbi Yossi is the one who says you go by the way a person finishes. So the Gemara says, my lav is it not? Mid Rabbi Shimon savar lak Rabbi Yossi, from the fact that Rabbi Shimon is following Rabbi Yossi nami savar lak Rabbi Shimon. Doesn't Rabbi Yossi also agree with Rabbi Shimon fully? And he would say that this Karban Mincha is nothing. If you're going to say I'm bringing a Karban Mincha from Sa'orim, it wouldn't work. And the same would be true by Karban Pesach, shouldn't be a problem. From the fact that Rabbi Shimon is following Rabbi Yossi, wouldn't that mean that Rabbi Yossi agrees with Rabbi Shimon? The Gemara says it's not true. Lo, no. Rabbi Shimon savar like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Shimon holds like Rabbi Yossi, but he has an additional factor. Rabbi Shimon says you go by the concluding words, the last line of what the person said, but also Rabbi Shimon says, and once that is true, and therefore what you said is basically nonsense because you can't donate from Sa'orim, therefore you're totally parted from bringing the carbon. Rabbi Yossi would disagree with that. Rabbi Yossi would say, no, we have to assume that when a person wants to make a donation, he's serious about it, and therefore Rabbi Yossi would not totally pater him. Rashi over here explains, V'achi perusha loi keda'amrit. Elo Rabbi Shimon savar like Rabbi Yossi da'af bigmar devarav nitvas da'as ha'adav ha'avlei misnadiv shelo kederach ha'misnadvin. Rabbi Shimon, just like we said, he's doing a not normal nedava. For Rabbi Shimon savar ha'ava shelo kogan isnadiv b'dvarav klum. What he said is nothing. Alva Rabbi Yossi lo savar Rabbi Shimon b'misnadiv shelo kederach ha'misnadvin delo amar klum. Elo chiyuve mechayev le lohavi min chaschitin. Even though we go by the person's concluding words of barley, in that particular case, he's going to need to bring a Karban Mincha from wheat. Not because we take seriously his first words and not his later words. It's really just because a person doesn't say something for nothing. The fact is, he said, I want to donate a Karban Mincha. He must have meant something by that. So therefore, he means to say a chitin. Will always come out with some way to interpret his words to make sense, and therefore, according to Rabbi Yossi, there is what to criticize, even though according to Rabbi Shimon, that is not the case. And the Gemara continues, Iboilu, they ask the following question, Tudus ishromi gavra rabba hava obal egrofen hava. This Tudus ishromi, was he a great person, meaning was he a great person in Torah scholarship? Is that what made him great? And that's why they said, oh, if not for the fact that you were Tudus, I would criticize you? Or was he a person who was mighty, who was somebody who they were scared of, and that's why they didn't want to criticize? So the Gemara says, Tashma, coming here, Odzu Dorash Tudus Ishromi. Tudus Ishromi made the following drasha. Ma'ro Chananya Mishal Vazaria Shemasru Atzmon Al Kedushas Hashem Lekivshon Ha'esh. Why did Chananya, Mishal, Vazaria decide to give up their lives? They were willing to give up their lives and go into the Kivshon Ha'esh, go into the furnace for Kiddush Hashem. Nasu Kal V'chomer V'yatzmon Mitzvardim. They made a Kal V'chomer from the frogs in Mitzrayim, the makkah of frogs in Mitzrayim. Umat Tzvardim Shein Mitzuven Al Kedushas Hashem. When it comes to frogs, there's no commandment that they have to sanctify the name of God. Ksivbu, what does it say though in the Torah? It says, Uvo v'olu b'veisecha v'tanurecha uv'misharosecha. It says that they jumped into the ovens, they jumped into the kneading bowls, the Tzfardim invaded Egypt. So, Amosai misharos mitsuyos etzel tanur. Now, when do we find the kneading bowls next to the oven? Haviomer b'shah tanur cham. It's when the oven is hot. They didn't just jump into cold, empty ovens. They jumped into burning ovens, the Tzfardim. So they made a kal v'chomer. We shemitzuven al kedushas Hashem. We're commanded to make a kiddush Hashem. Alachas kama v'kama. Certainly we should do this. And so you see from this that Tudus Ishromi was a scholar in Torah learning because he darshan publicly. Rabbi Yossi bar Avin says, Matil meloy lekis shetalmidei chachamim. He would give money for talmidei chachamim to allow them to invest. Hoya, that's what he did. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan says, Kol matil meloy lekis talmidei chacham. Anybody who provides these funds for Talmidei Chachamim to be able to go into business, Zocha v'yosha b'yeshiva shel mala, that person will merit to sit in the yeshiva shel mala, shenemar, like it says, ki b'tzel ha'chachma, b'tzel ha'kesef. The idea being that tzel ha'kesef, the money that you provide, will allow you to sit in the shadow of wisdom. The Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Makom shenagu lahadlik es haner b'leila yom ha'kippurim adlikin. In a place where the custom is to light the candle on the night of Yom Kippur, you can light a candle. Makom shenagu shelo lahadlik, but a place that has a minhag not to light candles, Ein madlikin, we don't like candles. The Gemara will explain this. Umadlikin b'batei knasios uv'vatei midrashos uv'mevoos ha'afelim v'al gabe acholim. In any case, You're allowed to light candles in the shuls, in the Beis Medrash, in the alleyways which are dark and where there are sick people present. That is going to be allowed. Gemara says, Tana, we learned in a brisa, Vein sha'amru lahadlik uvein sha'amru shalo lahadlik. Whether you're talking about a place where the minhag was to light, or whether you're talking about a place where the minhag was not to light, shnein l'davar echad niskavnu. Everyone had the same intention. They took a different route, but the intention is the same. Rashi here explains. Vein sha'amru lahadlik, osin shenagud lahadlik, those that have the minhag to light candles, v'hanog and shalo lahadlik, and those that have the minhag not to light candles, lo niskavnu ela l'davar echad lahafresh atzmo mimishkavei isha. The whole kavanah in both situations is to try to separate oneself from having relations with one's wife, from lying with one's wife on Yom Kippur, meaning ha'omrim lahadlik mishum de'ein adam mishamish mitaso l'oraner. Those who say to light candles is because people generally are not going to have relations when there's light. V'omrim shalot lahadlik, and those who say not to light candles, so from they hold kishaner dolik, when the candle is lit, roes ishto u'misavelah, the person's going to see his wife and he will desire her. So in both cases, they're trying to prevent this from happening on Yom Kippur, and they just take a different approach. Amar Rav Yoshua says, Darish Rava darshan, ve'amech kulam sadikim liolam yirshuaretz. The pasuk says, your nation, they're all righteous, and they will inherit the land, the gomer, etc. Bein shamar lahadlik, uvein shamar l'shalo lahadlik. Whether those who say to light, whether those who say not to light, shneim lo niskavnu ela l'davar echad, they all have the same intention. That is the meaning of that pasuk. They're all tzaddikim. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, Ein mevarchen al ha'or ela b'matzoi Shabbos. We only make a bracha on fire on Motzei Shabbos. Hoel u'tchilas briyasahu, because it was on Motzei Shabbos that we had the beginning of its creation of fire. Amar le'ahu Saba. So a certain elder, v'yitema Rabba bar bar Chana, some people say it was Rabba bar Chana, said to him, Yasher, that is correct. V'chein Amar Rabbi Yochanan. That's what Rabbi Yochanan says as well, that we only make a bracha on a fire on Motzei Shabbos. Ula have a rachav chamra. Ula was riding on a donkey. V'azol v'avishakel v'azol Rabbi Abba miyamine v'Rabba bar bar Chana mismali. So he was riding, and on his right side was Rabbi Abba, on his left side was Rabba bar bar Chana. Amar lei Rabbi Abba le'Ula. So Rabbi Abba said to Ula, V'adai damrisu mishmei Rabbi Yochanan ein mevarchen al ha'or ela b'motzoi Shabbos hoel u'tchilas briyasohu. So he said to him, Rabbi Abba said to Ula, is it really true what you said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, that you only make a bracha on the fire on Motzei Shabbos because that's when it was created? Hadar Ula chazabei b'Rabba bar bar Chana bishas. So when Ula heard this, he looked at Rabba bar Chana in a way, and he saw that Rabba bar Chana was embarrassed. Because, why was he looking at him? Because here Rabbi Abba was telling Ula, did you say this in the name of Rabbi Yochanan? And Ula had never said it in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, and he understood that Rabba bar bar Chana was the one quoting Rabbi Yochanan about this. So Amar lei, so he said to him, meaning Rabba bar bar Chana said, Ano lavaho amri. I did not make the statement the way it's been recorded. I did not say that that's what Rabbi Yochanan said. Ela aho amri. I said on the following, it got mixed up, it got confused. What did I say? The Tani Tano Kami de Rabbi Yochanan, because the Tana taught in front of Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Omer, that Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says, Yom HaKippurim shechol liyos b'Shabbos, that if Yom Kippur falls on Shabbos, af b'makom she'amru shelo lahadlik, even if you're in a place where the minhag is generally not to light candles on Yom Kippur, madlikin mibnei kavod HaShabbos. You're allowed to light candles in that case because it's also Shabbos. You do it for the honor of Shabbos. V'ani Rabbi Yochanan Basrein, when Rabbi Yochanan heard this person who was bringing down this Tanner of Shimon ben Elazar, when he heard that, Rabbi Yochanan answered and he said, the Chachamim osrim, that Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says you should light, but the Chachamim say it's Asr. That's what I was quoting in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, that it's a problem even when Yom Kippur falls on Shabbos. So Amar lei, he said, Ado tehei, he said, what you're saying is correct. That I do admit that Rabbi Yochanan said that. Kari aleh Rav Yosef. Now Rav Yosef called about this story. When he heard the story, he said, Mayim amukim, like the deep waters, Eitza b'lavish, is the counsel in the heart of man. And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Nun Daled Amud Aleph.